Well, hello and good evening, everybody. It is really wonderful to have you here with us this evening. It's called Welcome to the August Thoughtful Childbirth webinar. Just letting a few more people in. Okay, so tonight is all about breastfeed with confidence. And I really hope that by the end of this evening that you actually feel as though you're ready to go out there and breastfeed with confidence. Okay, for those of you who might not know who I am, I'm Lynn Bluff. My background is a nursing sister, a midwife, a childbirth educator. But one of the things that really defines me is that I'm passionate about informed choices, evidence-based birth, knowing your options. And the reality of the situation is that my breastfeeding journey had many trials and problems to it, but I didn't give up. And so it was a very successful one. And so, yes, there sometimes can be trials and tribulations. We understand that, but actually we can get through them. And so this is what we want to help you to put you on the right track. Etiquette for this evening, microphones are muted. If you want to ask any questions, just use the chat box. And if I don't pick it up at that particular moment, I promise you that during the evening, we will definitely answer your questions. And I will stay behind at the end to make sure that all questions are answered. So don't worry if it waits around in the chat box a little while. There are some giveaways. You'll need to be present in the room at the time to be eligible to win. And filling out the feedback form later will put you in a draw for the giveaways at the end, as well as a certificate of attendance. Thanks to Jason, Tammy, and Seth behind the scenes, that hopefully we will have a smooth technological evening. It's always appreciated that they are there behind the scenes sorting everything out. In case you don't know us at Baby Talk, we've got a wide range of information to offer you. We've got the Expectant Mothers and Fathers Guide that is available on the expectantmothersguide.co.za website. It's available as an app as well as you can read it online. So you have instant access to it. There's no cost involved to access it or download the apps to find it. The apps are available from Google Play as well as the App Store, Expectant Mothers Guide. And then we also have the Expectant Mothers Guide Journey app that gives you access to the magazines as well as a whole lot of other really interesting and helpful information. So do check them out. We've got the To Mommy newsletter. We acknowledge that you want to read information off the internet, which is great. But when it's not your field of expertise, it's very difficult to ascertain whether it's really good information that you're accessing, fake news, or just plain trash. Okay, and so what we do with the newsletter is that we actually guide you to really good, reputable, evidence-based websites that you know that if you go through to one of those websites, you're reading really good info. So watch out for that. It's just a monthly digital collated newsletter. We also do consults on birthing options and informed choices. And then, of course, we've got the monthly thoughtful childbirth webinars, which one is obviously this evening. Our next one will be on Tuesday, the 5th of September, and that one is called Breastfeeding Issues. So tonight is all about normal breastfeeding, okay? And next, the September one is all about the problems that can occur that you know about them, that you know where to get the expert help that you actually need. So really, you can go to thoughtfulchildbirth.co.za and book your spot already. The October one is how to look after a sick child, something none of us actually want to do, but we will all be faced with doing that. It really is stretching one as a parent when you've got a sick little one. And that's Friday, the 6th of October. The November one is prematurity and what it entails on Thursday, the 9th of November. So we've got all sorts of exciting things lined up for you in the next few months ahead. There will be a certificate of attendance that will be emailed to you once you fill out the feedback form. So in years to come, you can prove to your little one that you did your best as a parent and you tried to learn all you could about breastfeeding. Our program for the evening, we really run until about 9 o'clock. We're going to be looking at why breastfeed, how to breastfeed, how breastfeeding works, how my body works to breastfeed, how to get started, how to continue, and one thing that is certain, it is all worth it. We'll stop for a refreshment break for about 10 minutes around about 8ish or so you don't have to, break your concentration for anything. We will be stopping for a refreshment break and running until roughly 9. So some describe breast milk as, some say it's nature's liquid gold, a gift more precious than anything sold. Some say it forms a bond like no other of connection and trust between baby and mother. Some say the milk babies get from their mamas is a superfood you can make in your pajamas. Some say it's unique and cannot be matched. Its secrets imparted when baby is latched. Some say from Hera's breast the spray formed what we still call the Milky Way. Some say it's a powerful healing elixir, a mysterious milky all-around fixer. Maybe it's a little of all of the above, but I like to say it's liquid love. So when we are looking at breastfeeding this evening, tonight is not about making you feel good. It's not about making you feel bad. Tonight is about evidence and facts. Tonight is about helping you on your breastfeeding journey. And some breastfeeding tips. The first is have a great knowledge on breastfeeding and how it works while you are pregnant. And that's exactly what you are doing here tonight. Okay, you are getting this valuable breastfeeding knowledge, because if we understand how breastfeeding works, we can actually cut out on a lot of the problems that can actually arise. Trust your body. Your body is made to breastfeed. And I think these days, that's one of the hardest things that people actually face, because we hear so many people's story about failed breastfeeding. Oh, I didn't have enough milk. I had to give up breastfeeding. And so that when you keep hearing this repeated story, we actually start to doubt that our body is actually capable and able to make breast milk and actually breastfeed successfully. And so I want you to liken it to you tonight to say, when you get up in the morning, do you ever stop and think and say, is my bladder going to fill up enough today for me to go to the loo and wee? You're saying, what? No, of course not. You know that when your bladder is full, you're going to say, oh my goodness, I need to rush to the loo. You go to the loo, you have a wee, and you carry on until your body gives you those signals again that your bladder is full and you need to go and wee. So my challenge to you is, if you can trust your bladder to fill up with enough urine so that you can go and wee today, why do we fail to trust our breasts that they will actually be able to fill up enough with breast milk? Because after all, these breasts and the bladder are part of your same body. But we don't hear people telling us umpteen times a day, oh my word, I wonder if my bladder is going to fill up enough for me to go and wee. It is just something that we know happens. We just have this ability internally to know that, well, actually our bladder is going to fill up. So we need to actually cast these thoughts aside and say, actually, what I am going to do is trust my breasts. My breasts are there. They are made to breastfeed. They know what they're doing. And if I've got this added knowledge that I've got some understanding of what is going on, I am going to trust my body. Okay? 98, 99% of people are able to breastfeed. Yes, sometimes there are definitely problems that can occur and challenges that can occur. But if you know where to get the correct information and the correct support, all of those things can be overcome. And so I want to challenge you one and all tonight to say, trust your body. Your body is made to breastfeed. Have determination and perseverance. I think that when you've just had a baby, you are incredibly vulnerable, and it is scary. You actually physically are recovering from the birth. And if we are not sure whether we're really committed to breastfeeding, it's very easy to say, oh, it doesn't matter. I've got too much on my plate and I'll just give up. But if we know how important breast milk actually is, and that we are determined that this is what we want to do, and it is so important, it is worthwhile being determined and have perseverance. It's amazing what you can overcome when you've got the right people to call, the right support behind you. You can actually do it. So we need to be determined. We need to have perseverance. Okay, we need to be flexible in the breastfeeding approach. We are all different. Our breasts are different. Our babies are different. Our babies have different needs. Our bodies are different. And so it's one of those things, one size doesn't fit all, in more ways than one when we're talking about breasts and breastfeeding. Okay, so we need to be flexible. Sometimes there is a little bit of trial and error that one's actually got to play around with. We can't say do A, B, C, D, E, F, G and equals 100%. Okay, we've got to play around with that, that equation, okay, in order to sometimes reach the 100%. One thing that is really important, and we'll discuss it again in a few minutes, is that you need to cuddle with your babies a lot and do lots of skin to skin with your baby. And that, never underestimate how important that aspect actually is, and what hormones actually come alive in your body and your baby's body when you actually cuddle and do skin to skin with your baby. Accept that breastfeeding is a commitment, okay? Babies are only little for a while. Most people don't breastfeed for a hang of a long time, okay? It's all relative. The World Health Organization recommends that babies are exclusively breastfed for 6 months, and then you add in solids and you continue breastfeeding for at least 2 years. Okay, it is a very short period of time in your lifetime to be totally committed to breastfeeding your baby. And so, yes, anything worthwhile in life does come with a sacrifice, and actually your baby needs you during this time, and it's a small sacrifice to actually make for your baby when you actually see the rewards that are going to be given to your baby by breastfeeding. Know when and how to contact a lactation consultant. And if you go to expectantmothersguide.co.za, there are numerous lactation consultants listed there, and they will help put you on the right track. Okay, so why breastfeed? Okay, so put some things in the chat box and say, why should we be breastfeeding? Why do we want to actually even go down this road? So just add it in there. Anybody going to put something in the chat box? Okay, let's see. Why are people wanting to breastfeed? Yes, bond with baby, best for baby, healthy nutrients for the baby. Great. It's free, yes, and in this day and age when everything's so expensive, definitely an added bonus. Yeah, cheaper than formula, without a doubt. Antibodies against diseases, very important indeed. Yes, that immunity that breast milk actually affords that baby, incredible. Baby is stronger, yes. Bio builds immunity, white gold, nutritional value for growing baby and cost efficiency. It's available to avoid trial and error with formula. It's easily reachable. We will go into that. We'll answer that one later. A healthier option builds baby's immune system. Mom can lose weight to crops, avoids constipation, comfort for the baby, no prep time versus preparing bottles, immune system strength, good for mom, good for the gut. Wonderful. You've all got an enormous amount of knowledge. Well done, all of you. Now, this brain chaos that actually goes on during pregnancy, when you're talking to the baby, what are they saying? And yes, breast is best. Yes, incredible it is. Then on the other hand, you hear fed is best. Then you hear about the you have a life too in this equation. Then you're told you need to, okay, and the last one comes up and says, well, you weren't breastfed, and you've turned out all right. Isn't this enough to cause total chaos within your brain? Okay, and so what we need to do is we need to wipe the slate clean. We need to calm the mind, and we need to understand breastfeeding, and then we won't have all this brain chaos. One of the most important things you can do for your baby is breastfeed. And just keep that most important fact at the back of your mind. All these advantages, yes, every single system of your baby is actually affected by this breast milk, and there's an advantage in every single system as to how important breast milk is to your baby. Okay, breast milk is a newborn's first vaccine. serving as the best protection against illness and disease. And that is certainly a really important thing to take into account. Colostrum, the mind-blowing superfood for your baby. Colostrum, aka liquid gold, but even breast milk is also absolutely amazing. Colostrum, the original liquid gold. I make milk. What's your superpower? Just a couple of great reasons to breastfeed your baby. Now, breastfed babies are healthier. There's a 36% reduction in the risk of SIDS or cot deaths for breastfed babies. There's a 72% reduction in respiratory tract infections for a breastfed baby. There is a 30% reduction of type 1 diabetes for breastfed babies. And there's a 15 to 30% decreased risk of obesity in adolescence and adulthood. Okay, really important to see the huge statistics that actually are part of the facts about the advantages of breastfeeding. Now, one of the most important and most exciting reasons to breastfeed is actually the microbiome. And human milk is the ultimate superfood and personalized medicine for your baby. And this is what this graph is showing you here, that breast milk actually is the most influential thing that actually influences the microbiome of your baby. Have you ever wondered what is in breast milk? Okay, it is made up of all sorts of things. The list, you can't even read, it's so small because there's so many things in, and those are the things they actually know and have discovered are in breast milk. And I can assure you in the future, that list keeps growing, that they discover if things on a daily, weekly, monthly basis of what's in breast milk. There is so much research that goes into breast milk. So breast milk is dynamic, okay? It varies from morning to night. It varies within a feed. It varies across lactation from when you start to 6 months down the line, and it varies from one mother to the next. It's personalized nutrition. It matches the changing nutritional needs of your baby. And it delivers optimized immunity while infant immune system develops. Babies are born with a very immature immune system, and that is why they actually need this huge boost to their immune system, of which the breast milk is just incredibly important. Now, if we have a look at what is breast milk made up of, it's made up of carbohydrates and proteins and fats, okay? It is really quite impressive. 86 to 88% of it is actually water. Then there's 4% that's got fat in it that helps the development of the brain, the eyes, and the nervous system. 7% of carbohydrates, mainly lactose, it benefits the gut, the microbiota, aids calcium absorption. 1% is protein, which is essential building blocks for growth and development. And then 0.2% for vitamins and minerals, 0.5 to 2% of prebiotics, which we'll go into is the healthy gut bacteria that is going to help the immune support with the immune system. So they're probiotics. Okay, now we know if we're on antibiotics, we should be taking probiotics, the good microorganisms that we actually need. And breast milk has its own probiotics in it. The prebiotics is a non-digestible food ingredient that promotes the growth of these beneficial microorganisms in the intestines. and symbiotics is just the two combined, and postbiotics are what kind of the soluble factors that are secreted by the live bacteria or are released because of this process that is going on. Now, the probiotics are your lactobacillus, which we'll hear about, and prebiotics are your HMOs, the human milk oligosaccharides. And as I say, the symbiotics are a combination, and your metabolites are your postbiotics, okay, which your living bacteria produce. Now, the human microbiome, okay, what is it? What is your microbiome? And it's all those millions and trillions of microbes, good microorganisms that live in and on us. And there are so many that make us up. It's worth quite a few kilograms of microorganisms that live in and on us. Oh, goodness, it sounds quite creepy. We've got different ones that are in our nose, different ones in our mouth, different ones on our skin, different ones in our breast, different ones in our vagina, different ones in our gut, and so it goes. But these are all the good microorganisms that are vital to our body. And it's the microbiome that is going to give your baby its immunity, okay, which is what we are saying that is just so important for this baby. So how do we acquire these essential cells and genes that are the right organisms that actually form the microbiome? So let's think back to what a vaginal born baby is exposed to at birth. Okay, that baby actually passes through the vagina, and the vagina is coated with vaginal fluid, and the vaginal microorganisms in the that vaginal fluid. And that is the first lot of good microorganisms that this baby comes into as it is going through the birthing process. And this baby's body knows that it must take in these vaginal microbes, and they are important and they are good, and the body accepts them. As your baby is born, okay, the vaginal outlet, okay, is right by the mom's anus, and moms often poo during the actual pushing process, which is wonderful and beneficial for this baby, because as that baby passes out just above that area, it picks up mom's gut microorganisms. And these are just incredibly beneficial. This is where the bifidobacteria come in that are just so important for this baby's gut. And then this baby is born, and it should be put on mom's chest, and this baby picks up mom's skin microorganisms. And this baby's body knows that these are all these good microorganisms that need to be taken in. Baby should ideally be latched, then have a good breastfeed, and there are microbes within the breast milk. And this is what we say, these are the ones that have the most effect in forming this baby's healthy microbiome. And just as an added one, pets, okay, they, particularly your dogs, okay, they have a wonderful positive influence on this baby's immune system as well. And so the body knows that this is the order that these microorganisms should come to into that baby. And then after that, it is stopped, and all the rest are assumed to be going to be bad microorganisms, and everything is blocked. So it is very important that actually the baby gets these microorganisms from these various places in this various order, because that is what actually establishes this baby's microbiome and puts this baby on the path to long-term health as opposed to chronic disease. And so this is very, very important to understand why it is so important to actually give your baby breast milk. So during birth, we get these bifidobacteria, these probiotics, these good bacteria that actually live in the gut, and they help break down the food, they absorb the nutrients, and they fight off bad organisms that might cause disease. Okay, and this gut bifidobacteria in infants plays a crucial role in protecting against the pathogens by keeping the immune and protective functions of those epithelial cells, the cells that are lining that baby's gut. Okay, so you give your baby breast milk, and this is where the HMOs, human milk oligosaccharides, the human milk sugars that are contained within the breast milk, actually enter into this baby's gut as it takes the milk from the breast. And it is just incredible in this top little picture here, these little cells. This is the area that in the gut that we actually want to keep really healthy, so that there is a healthy gut barrier in order to keep the gut healthy, which keeps the immune system healthy, which gives your baby the pathway to a good, healthy life. So breastfeeding is awesome. We've said it actually, this breast milk affects every system of this baby. From the visual acuity is higher in babies that are fed human milk, to a higher IQ. In the mouth, there's less need for orthodontics in children that are breastfed. There's breastfed babies get fewer ear infections. They get fewer tonsillitis. Okay, their joints and muscles, okay, have less problems than babies who aren't getting breast milk. And so we can look at every system of the body. It makes a difference and it reaches. So we know that breastfeeding is awesome. From those first comments that you passed, we understand that. But do we understand why breastfeeding is so awesome? Or as usual, do we just know a fact? Yes, breastfeeding is awesome. We've got no background information, and so we don't understand what makes it so awesome. And so then it doesn't become as important to us. Okay, so these human milk oligosaccharides, okay, are found in breast milk. And what is really interesting is that in mature breast milk, there's 5 to 15 grams per liter of HMOs, whereas in colostrum, that first type of breast milk, okay, is 20 to 25, okay, more than double or to triple, okay, the quantity of HMOs. And that is why it is just so vital that every baby should have the opportunity of getting colostrum into its system, because it has such phenomenal things like HMOs attached to it. So if we say, well, what is an HMO? It's a carbohydrate, okay? And carbohydrates are classified according to monosaccharides. And 2 monosaccharides together are a disaccharide, and many are an oligosaccharide. And that is where HMOs fit in. Now, there are more than 200 different HMOs already identified within breast milk. And as I say, this number actually increases on a regular basis. They just find more and more. Now, HMOs are generally non-digestible, and merely 1 to 2% reach the systemic circulation. Okay, so they just pass through into the gut. Okay, there is a small absorption, 1 to 2% of them are absorbed in the gut. Okay, and they are absorbed and excreted intact, okay, or as derivatives within the infant's urine. Hence, the systemic effects may occur: urinary tract, brain composition, functions, the function of different organs, although they've still got to actually do more research on that particular fact. So a majority of the HMOs reach the lower gut unchanged, and they support the baby's immunity. Okay, and what they do is that these HMOs bind to bacteria. So the bad bacteria that we've got in or is in reaches the baby's gut, the HMOs bind to them and they are then excreted and they can't attack the gut. Okay, and they also actually it blocks the bacteria binding with these healthy cells that form a good barrier, okay, which is really important within the gut. So they provide a very, very important role. And there you can see the HMOs, okay? If there aren't any HMOs, there are lots of bugs crawling around with the HMOs. The HMOs gobble up the bugs and keep that baby's gut system a whole lot healthier. Okay. All right. And if that gut isn't kept healthy, you get what is called a leaky gut and everything passes through it. Okay, including all those bad bacteria which give you inflammation and cause disease. And that is what's just so important. Now, an interesting question, is a mom's breast milk bacteria shared with her baby? And if so, how does it get there? And there was one way to find out, and they compared the bacteria in mom's breast milk to the bacteria in her infant's gut. They found that a mom's breast milk and an infant's gut microbiome share some of the same bacteria. And so the good bacteria in the breast milk, okay, comes out in the baby's nappy, and we know that actually that is where it has come from. It is quite incredible how this all happens. Okay, so to build on a previous breast milk discovery, Dr. Megan Nazard, she went back and she looked at all sorts of biological samples of the baby's poo and the mom's breast milk to see what components there were. We saw that it was highly variable. Okay, milk from different mothers contained different types and combinations of bacteria. So the next question was, why the difference? And so using information collected from the mothers, Dr. Zard and Musavi analyzed factors that might influence the milk bacteria. They considered whether the mother had delivered vaginally or by Caesar, her weight, age, diet, ethnicity, and breastfeeding practices, such as whether she did exclusive breastfeeding, how long, and the method of feeding. Was that milk actually expressed, or was it actually fed directly from the breast? And something that is really actually quite interesting, okay, is that the milk bacteria were different in mothers who expressed or pumped their milk compared to those who fed their infant directly from the breast. So in fact, of all the variables they analyzed, breast milk pumping was the one factor consistently associated with differences in the milk bacteria. And so it is absolutely the best thing if you are able to breastfeed your baby directly from the breast. It gets all sorts of more good bacteria from the mom, even as opposed to the difference between expressing breast milk and directly breastfeeding your baby. Isn't that fascinating? Okay. So some key messages to take home is breastfeeding is more than awesome. And it's so important to help moms to breastfeed successfully. People need to know the wonders of breast milk, and as professionals, we shouldn't dilute that information. And hopefully this has been pointed out to you, and I've taken quite a bit of time to actually just go through how important breast milk is, so that hopefully you've got the idea just how awesome it is, that we can't actually dilute the message of how important breastfeeding is. You know, people say, oh yes, but it makes me feel guilty if I don't breastfeed successfully. Well, you got to deal with that, because it's no good saying to the next mom, you know, it really doesn't matter if you breastfeed or not, because that's a down and outright lie. And why should her baby not get the best opportunity by knowing how awesome breast milk is, and that actually that mom may be pretty determined to breastfeed through all the problems that she may experience, because she knows just how worthwhile it is. And so we can't dilute this message as to just how awesome breast milk is, and that actually we should do everything in our ability to try and give this baby as much breast milk as possible. So it's not about making moms feel guilty, okay? It's about them making truly informed decisions and knowing where to get breastfeeding help from should they run into a problem, okay? That it's not, oh, well, it's not so important. It is so vitally important for your baby. So let's move on and look at how to breastfeed. Okay, so we've talked about human milk is tailor-made for tiny humans, okay? Cow's milk is tailor-made for calves. Human milk is tailor-made for our tiny, precious babies. It's baby's first vaccine. It's a superfood, and it's devoted to brain development. We've gone through all the amazing components of breast milk, from stem cells, antiviruses, anti-cancer cells, enzymes, prebiotics, DHA, probiotics, antiparasites, growth factors, hormones, carbohydrates, vitamins, food antigens, antibodies, fat, water, protein, and minerals. It is amazing what breast milk is made up of. And so we want to do skin to skin for all moms and babies, leading to a baby's healthy microbiome. And when that baby is skin to skin, we're going to afford that baby that opportunity of going through those 9 instinctive stages, one of which is breastfeeding, and that is going to have a huge impact on that baby's microbiome formation and lead to a baby's healthy immune system. Okay, so breast milk is unique to every mom and baby. So breast milk, as we said, differs between mothers. Breast milk is individualized and it's specialized for your baby. Breast milk changes from month to month as your baby's needs change, and breast milk changes from morning to night. And there's increased melatonin, okay, which helps your baby sleep at night. And so when you are expressing, label it morning, night, or morning milk or night milk, because we actually want the babies to have night milk at nighttime because of this increased melatonin levels that are increased during the nighttime feed, so baby sleeps better. Breast milk changes within each feed, okay, increasing in fat at the end of the feed to help baby regulate its appetite and its intake. Now, when we're talking about breastfeeding, we're including the mother, the infant, and the breast milk. So it's mother-infant milk triad, okay? Now, factors determining that baby's microbiome, breast milk is the most important factor. Birth mode, vaginal versus cesarean, is important. Probiotics, vitamin D, household siblings, and household furry pets like dogs. Okay, now as far as the human microbiome goes, the human microbiome is made up of more than 100 trillion bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and viruses that live on and inside our bodies. We've 10 times more microbial cells in our body than human cells, and the majority live in our guts, especially the large intestines, and the bacteria in our microbiomes are essential to human health. Breast milk is not sterile, and babies consume 10 million bacteria daily. Okay, some good, some bad, and that is why breast milk is so important. Okay, so the skin to skin is really an enormous part of getting breastfeeding off to a good start. So as this baby is born, so this baby should be put skin to skin on mom's chest. That means she's got no clothes on, baby's got no clothes on, and they are skin to skin. And the most amazing things happen when this baby is skin to skin. Okay, so the skin to skin is going to regulate baby's heart rate, breathing, temperature, oxygen, you name it, it controls it. And it's very important to stabilize this baby. Now, we do a whole workshop and it's available to for replay on skin to skin. But basically, this baby is going to pass through these 9 instinctive stages from the birth cry, relaxation, awakening, activity, rest, crawling, familiarization, and stage 8 is suckling, where they actually are able to open their mouths, latch onto the breast, and suckle. Okay, now if this baby is skin to skin on mom's chest and left there undisturbed, and no routine examinations are done, but we are left on baby's time, baby will go through these stages all under its own accord and latch on by itself and suckle. Okay, so the best way to get breastfeeding off to a good start is to have your baby skin to skin on mom's chest, okay, immediately after birth, undisturbed, and we are on baby's time. And this process can take, maybe you'll only start stage 8 about an hour or so after birth. And so we do not rush baby to the breast. We are on baby's time, and baby knows exactly what they're doing, and they are hardwired to actually breastfeed. And so if we provide the right environment, okay, and that's on the mom's chest, skin to skin, baby will latch and suckle of its own accord. And it is phenomenal to see this process actually happen. The trouble is that we think that babies aren't able to do all of these things under its own accord, that they just this helpless little thing that needs to have everything done for it. And it's not. This baby is able to be mobile, get itself to the breast, open its mouth, latch on, and get a good latch and suckle from the breast. Okay, so how does breastfeeding work? And at the time of birth, okay, there are all sorts of hormones that come into play, okay, that are going to have a huge effect, okay, on the mom's body and the breasts. And actually that you're going to get all of these hormones coming into play. And the best way to get all of this, it's with baby skin to skin on mom's chest. So how does my body work to breastfeed? And then we'll just go through this quickly, and then we'll go into the various elements of it. There are 21 steps to successful breastfeeding. We need to talk to family and friends about your breastfeeding goals while you're still pregnant. And what is a good idea is to not just the pregnant mom to be exposed to good breastfeeding information, but her partner, her mom-in-law, because these are people who are going to be really standing by her and can potentially influence her positively or negatively about breastfeeding. And so you want the whole family to be exposed to the importance of breastfeeding and how to breastfeed, so that everybody has got the same message. So yes, know how breastfeeding works. Find successful breastfeeding mothers to be friends with. Watch them breastfeeding their babies, so that actually it becomes quite natural to see a baby breastfeeding, and you can understand, you know, what it looks like. And, you know, you're just getting, you're just becoming part of this breastfeeding world. Try to birth at a mother-baby friendly facility, and not one that just says they are, but a place, a birthing unit, a hospital that actually really lives by what it actually says, that it is mother-baby breastfeeding friendly. After birth, place that baby immediately skin to skin on mom's chest and let your baby go through those non-instinctive stages beyond baby time. Okay, don't rush your baby to the breast. Your baby's hardwired to know how to breastfeed. Have a baby skin to skin 24/7 as much as possible for the first 3 to 4 months. Okay, just because people think, oh, well, I've had my baby skin to skin, I've left it there, 10 minutes, half an hour, I'm finished with skin to skin. No, skin to skin, have your baby skin to skin 24/7 as much as possible for the first 3 to 4 months. That is really so important. Learn your baby's breastfeeding cues, and we'll go through them just now, and feed with your baby's cues rather than a schedule. Let your baby lead the feeding. They know when they're hungry and when they are full. And when you are in doubt about things, and not just with breastfeeding, about to do anything with your baby, think about what you like. Do you like to be woken up in the middle of the night and said, hi there, I think it's time for you to eat. I'm sure you're hungry. Okay, I am sure most of you will get really aggro and angry and actually say, get lost, because I'm not hungry. When I'm hungry, I will eat. And isn't that exactly what your baby's saying? Why on earth would you wake me? Okay, I'm sleeping. I'm not ready to eat. Obviously, when we make all of these statements, we're talking about healthy, full-term babies. Okay, just to actually keep it in the correct perspective. There is no best position or one position. Every mom and baby will find that they want the same position. No, you need to find what is comfortable for you and your baby. And there is an infinite number of breastfeeding positions that are available to you and your baby. And we'll go through this more shortly. When latching your baby, have tummy to mummy. Nipples should be at the nose. Hold the baby behind the neck and don't touch the back of his head while feeding. Bring baby to the breast, not the breast to the baby. Mom, sit back, deep breaths, relax into the feed. Do not limit nursing times. Only give breast milk, nothing else is needed. Okay, that exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months, that means that only the breast needs to go into the baby's mouth for 6 months. It does not need water. It does not need tea. It does not need cereal. It does not need porridge. It needs breast milk. And for the first 6 months of life, your baby needs breast milk. Okay, breastfeeding should not be painful. If breastfeeding hurts, ask for help. Okay, because sometimes it's just a minor adjustment that actually needs to be made. But if you think, oh, well, I'll just grit my teeth and bear it, you really are asking for disaster, because it'll just get more painful. And whereas if in the beginning you get it sorted out immediately, these problems are corrected and you can carry on breastfeeding without pain. Breastfeeding and pain should not go together. And again, your lactation consultants are listed on expectantmothersguide.co.za. Okay, I think what we're going to do, we're going to break for a 10-minute refreshment break, and the time is now 7:56. And so we will come back at 8:06, and we will then carry on and really start looking at the nitty-gritties of how to position and latch a baby. Okay, so enjoy your tea time, and we'll see you back in 10. Okay, people, hopefully you are all refreshed and ready to go. And your hunger cues aren't as bad as they were, that you've actually set them aside. But let's look at the hunger cues for breastfeeding. And it's really important to learn your baby's cues so that you feed when your baby is hungry. Now, there are early cues that your baby is saying to you, I'm hungry, it's time to feed me. And they're stirring, they're licking their lips, their mouth is opening, they're turning their head, they're seeking, they're rooting. And then the mid cues. And now they're saying, listen, I'm really hungry, you better feed me now. And they're stretching, they're putting their hands to their mouth, they're increasing movement. And hopefully by that time, you've definitely picked up the cues and you're feeding them. Otherwise, if not, they're going to be late cues. And it is then you need to calm me, and then you're only going to need to feed me. There's lots of movement, babies crying and may turn red. And so we need to calm the crying before baby can feed. Cuddling, skin to skin, singing, talking, stroking. Feed me. Okay. And so try and actually understand those early cues so that your baby has a lovely transition from saying, I'm getting hungry, to actually being fed, being satisfied, rather than wait for those late cues, and then you now need to calm him down. Okay. So how do we get started to actually breastfeed? Now, the first thing is, don't worry or be anxious about the size or shape of your breasts. They can all produce breast milk. Okay, breastfeeding takes all kinds. And you can see from those little graphic pictures, they really can be so different. But they can all produce milk. We've spoken about trusting your bladder, trusting your breasts. Okay, I just want to re-emphasize that factor. Okay, you need to trust your breasts. They are made to breastfeed. Always remember skin to skin. Okay, and now we need to really position the baby at the breast. Okay, skin to skin, and your baby will get there. But if you're needing to actually at some other stage put your baby to the breast, this is a way of doing it as well. Now, it doesn't matter what position that your baby is in, okay, but there are principles to positioning your baby correctly. So any position is a fine breastfeeding position, but what is important is that your baby needs to be at the height of the breast. Okay, don't lean down to your baby. Okay, so whether you hold your baby up, whether you put a breastfeeding pillow, whether you put normal pillows, but as long as your baby is at the height of the breast. If you start to lean down, you're going to put drag on that nipple is going to get sore. Okay, so baby must be at the correct height of the breast. And the second thing that is really an important principle, that baby must face mom, must face the breast. Hopefully you can see my baby. What we tend to do is put, have a cushion, put the baby at the breast, and baby actually turns his head. So just think about it. If you turn your head like this, okay, and then you try and drink, is that comfortable? Are we able to actually swallow comfortably? No, that is not the position we generally drink at. And so you need to get your baby in the correct position. And so we want to have this baby facing mom. Okay, its head must face mom, its tummy must face mom, and its legs must face mom. And that, whether it's in this position, that position, it really doesn't matter, okay, as long as the principles apply. That baby is at the height of the breast, okay, and that baby is facing mom. Its head is facing mom, its tummy is tummy to mummy, and its legs are facing mom. And those are the two important principles of a correct position. You can lie, you can lay back, cross cradle, football hold, okay? But you use those two important principles. In order to latch your baby, this is the goal that we actually want to reach to have a correct latch on. That areola, that dark part around the nipple, we want to get as much of that into the baby's mouth as possible. You can see the lips are flanged out. We don't want the lips caught in and sucked in. The lips must flange out. And something else is that this chin needs to be in contact with the breast, and we're going to show you how to achieve that. Okay, so really your baby doesn't nipple feed. We don't call it nipple feeding, we call it breastfeeding, because actually the breast is, there's a good portion of the breast in that baby's mouth. He's not just sucking on, okay, to this nipple. He is taking a nice mouthful. Okay, so one of the ways to do this is that we position the baby with nipple to nose. You can see in picture number 1 there, okay, but you can also see that the chin is in contact with the breast, okay, and that is really something that is key. All right, so number 2 shows you nose to nipple. The nipple is pointing up, okay, but the chin is to the breast. As baby opens his mouth, you're going to let the nipple roll in, which is number 3. And you want to try to get a lot of the breast below the nipple into that baby's mouth. And the nipple then slips in last. And baby has a good deep latch. Okay, remember we want to actually get a good mouthful of breast because we're breastfeeding, and you can see that nipple gets sucked into the back of the baby's mouth. Okay, so that you want a good position, a good latch. Okay, so nipple to nose, chin to breast. Okay, and then as baby opens his mouth, you're going to roll the nipple in, and you're going to kind of lift them up, all right, so he's got the opportunity to take a good, nice mouthful of breast, okay, and the nipple slides in, and baby has a good deep latch, and the chin is to the breast. Okay, so when latching baby, tummy to mummy, baby should be facing mom, his head, his body, his legs. Okay, nipple to nose so that that baby can come up and latch on. Okay, the chin is touching the breast. And when you actually hold the baby behind the neck, okay, hold him behind his neck, but don't touch his head, okay, because the reflex when you touch their head is that they push their head backwards into your hand. And that is not what you want when you want the baby to come and latch onto the breast. And so no hands above the top, the base of the neck, okay? No hands above the ears, okay? And then bring baby to the breast, not the breast to the baby. Make sure that baby's lips are flanged out and not sucked in when baby is latched. And mom needs to make sure that she's sitting back, she is comfortably positioned, she can take some deep breaths, and she can relax into the feed and enjoy the closeness of your baby. Okay, and well done. Okay, it is quite a feat. But remember, babies are hardwired to breastfeed. A couple of principles are really important. Okay, that we want the baby facing the breast, we want the baby at the heart of the breast, and we want baby to be supported. We are not used to holding this baby. They're quite a few kilos in weight, and your arm starts to get tired and your arm drops and your back drops. Okay, and we wonder why baby's not effectively latching on the breast, effectively suckling. You can't hear the baby swallowing. Okay, so really very important. So mom needs to be well positioned, well supported, that she's not trying to support the weight of her baby as well as her weight. Okay, that she can actually relax and things will then settle down and flow better. Okay, and all of these posters that I have shown that to you this evening during the presentation, they are available on the Expectant Mother's Guide website. You can download them, you can copy them, you can print them off, you can have a look at them, and that will help remind you just how important these different issues are as far as breastfeeding goes. Okay, so tummy to mummy, nose to nipple, no hands above the ears. We don't want the baby throwing his head back. We want him to open wide, and when his mouth is open, it's like biting an apple, okay, and oomph, okay, and that baby is brought up and over, and we can relax while this baby breastfeeds. I think another fact that is really important to understand about breastfeeding is that the more a baby sucks, the more milk that is going to be produced. Again, along these lines where people are just so anxious about whether there is enough milk that is being made, okay, that actually, oh no, I don't think my breasts are full. And so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to substitute this baby with formula and let my breasts fill up more. And that's the worst thing you could possibly do. Okay, so the more the baby actually sucks on the breast, okay, the more milk that is taken out, the breasts get the message, more milk to make. And so if you're ever in doubt, have you got enough milk? Make sure that your baby sucks really, really frequently, okay? Because the more your baby sucks, the more milk that is going to be produced. The more your baby sucks, the more milk that is going to be produced. And so you've got the idea. The more milk your baby sucks, the more milk your body is going to produce. And so that is a way of ensuring that your baby is actually getting enough. The more the baby sucks, the more milk is going to be produced. And when your baby has a growth spurt, which it often does, you know, about when they are a week old and a month old and 6 weeks old and 3 months old, and any time between then that baby so desires, they go through this growth spurt. And what they're needing to do is they're needing to grow. And so what does this baby do? He needs to build up your milk supply because he's needing more. And so what does he do for a couple of days? He's niggly and he keeps wanting to be on the breast because he knows I need to get these breasts to produce more milk. So if I keep asking to go on the breast and I keep sucking, these breasts are going to make more milk. And in a couple of days, It's going to, have really built up, and then I can go back to my normal routine of 3 or 4 hourly. And my next growth spurt comes, and what does baby do? Okay, he's going to need to feed more frequently to build up your milk supply. Don't we have awesome bodies? Hey, haven't they been created phenomenally? If only we would trust them and go with the flow and understand what is happening, it's going to really work really, really well. Okay, so there's a checklist for nursing babies. Okay, so if we have a look at this baby's age, we need to know the number of successful breastfeeds in 24 hours and at least 8 feeds a day. Okay, breast milk is very, very quickly digested, and so baby needs to be fed frequently. Every 1 to 3 hours for a breastfed baby is normal. Okay, we are going to feed that baby when that baby is hungry. Some babies will feed 2 hourly, some 3 hourly, sometimes 4 hourly, sometimes 1 hourly. Okay, but we're going to feed this baby when they are giving us cues that they are hungry and wanting to be fed. So, what goes in has to come out. And so day 1, we need at least 1 wet nappy. On day 2, at least 2 wet nappies. Day 3, 3 wet nappies. 4 days, 4 wet nappies. And thereafter 5 to 7 heavy wet nappies. And the way we know also whether this baby's getting enough is that the wee that this baby is weeing out should be pale or colorless. If this baby isn't getting enough fluid, okay, it is more concentrate and then more orange. Okay, if you've ever looked at what you produce down the loo, okay, if you haven't had enough to drink, it's much more orange, much more concentrate. You've had a lot to drink, okay, it's colorless or very, very pale. And the same applies to your baby. What about poo nappies? Okay, that first day, 1 or 2 dark black or dark green poo nappies, okay, that first poo that's called meconium, okay, very sticky and can be in profuse quantities. Okay, that's for the first 1 to 2 days, and then at least 2 to 3 brown, green, or yellow stools as that baby's poo nappy actually transitions to a normal breastfed poo, which is bright yellow with little bits in it. Okay, and he should have 3 to 4 yellow poo nappies onwards from there. That's just the average. Okay, it can be less a day, and it can certainly be more a day. And that's just giving you an idea of where to work around. Baby needs to actively latch and feed, okay, that he's latched on nicely, a nice mouthful of breast tissue and areola, and that you're going to be able to see that baby swallowing at the breast, okay? If a baby's using you like a dummy, it goes very small little movements, okay? When baby's actively feeding, it's going to suck, and you are going to be able to see the baby swallow, okay? And so that becomes important, that you are seeing your baby sucking nicely, well latched, and then swallowing. And baby regains its birth weight about 10 to 14 days, and baby has settle times after feeds that is not continuously looking at the breast, and he never looks or sounds satisfied. And that will just give you a good quick checklist to ensure your baby is really feeding nicely. How much milk is enough? Okay, remember the size of a newborn's stomach is really, really tiny. Okay, day one, the size of a cherry. Okay, 5 to 7 mils, a little teaspoon is enough for a feed. And that is why that colostrum, that first type of breast milk, okay, occurs in, it's really equivalent to being thick and creamy and concentrate, that colostrum, because your baby just needs a very, very small little quantity. By day 3, it's increased to the size of a walnut, which is about 22 to 27 mils. After a week, about the size of an apricot, 45 to 60 mils. At about a month, it's the size of a large egg, 80 to 150 mils. Okay, so we need to keep this in perspective. My baby doesn't need to feed for 2 hours at a time on day 1. Okay, it only needs to get out equivalent of a little teaspoon full of milk. Okay, and so it slowly increases. Okay, let's just have a look. Okay, what goes in has to come out. And as part of breastfeeding, we change the nappy before we breastfeed, we change our baby after we breastfeed, and it is the ideal time to connect with your baby when you are changing a nappy. And they want to communicate intimately with you. They are hardwired to want to connect with you. And so we can mention nappy changing time. How do we actually view it? This unpleasant chore, oh, please won't you go and do it, okay, because it's just so ghastly. It's not my turn this time, it's all yours. Is that how we're viewing nappy changing time? Or is it rather a special time, a time to connect with this baby? And there's something called the dance of the nappy. And I'm going to show you, it's like a 1 or 2 minutes worth of this video, the dance of the nappy, so that you can just actually see how this baby wants to connect during this time.
We've got a really standard everyday occurrence here. In fact, lots of time of day occurrence here. What it shows is the complex, beautiful dance that goes on, even in this most common of situations. Keep in mind, this is a baby who's just over a month old. And his head's turned away. And she's doing this thing that's uncomfortable. She's now exposing him to cold air. And as soon as this starts to happen, look what he does. He turns around to find her face. And he has this really coordinated head movement. Although he has to do it slowly, he comes round, and when he finds her face, he stops. So it's goal-directed action. The goal was to find Mum. And he holds her gaze. He holds her gaze. He looks away just for a second, but when he has to quit moving, he's right back there, tied in to her gaze. And now he's starting to smile. And she's starting to smile as well. So she looks away and he keeps his eyes. He's smiling. Right. Can a baby do that at 5 weeks old? Can a baby smile like that? Or is that wind? Lots of us would say, no, it's just wind. It's not meaningful. If you ask lots of mothers, they would tell you that that exchange is meaningful, that the baby smiling is saying, I'm with you, I'm connected, I'm enjoying this. But cultures will teach you, is this wind? Is this not? How to interpret this smile. How you interpret it is really important, because if you think it's wind, you don't smile back. If you think the baby's engaging with you, you smile back. And that's where brain development starts, on the basis of the kind of response that you receive. This baby's eyes are bright. Mom is totally focused on this.
Okay, isn't it incredible what babies are able to do and that they want to connect? And along these same lines, okay, make nappy changing time an incredible time. This baby is alert and wanting to communicate. But your baby is alert and wanting to communicate when you are breastfeeding as well. And that is why the distance that a baby can actually focus on ideally is the distance between where this baby is being held at the breast and the mom's eyes, because this baby wants to communicate. So I want to encourage all those breastfeeding moms, whether you're breastfeeding yet or you're still going to be breastfeeding, is that don't get involved with your social media on your phone, okay, while you are breastfeeding, because you are missing out on something that is so important for you and your baby. It is critical for your baby's development that you actually connect with your baby. And when we're talking about connect, we're talking about eye-to-eye contact. Okay, so that is just a little bit to add in, that you actually, it is so important to connect with your baby while you are breastfeeding. That is going to make a huge difference to the brain development with your baby, the more that you actually connect with them. And it's not just the breast milk that is the only part that is really important. So we're looking at now, it is all worthwhile. Okay, the hiccups and the headaches from those first few days or weeks of breastfeeding, it is all worthwhile. The good bacteria is shared through the breast milk. Okay, so mom gives not only the nutrients and immune components to their babies through the breast milk, they also share the good bacteria that might protect babies from illness and infections. It really is important. We know that actually feeding your baby directly from the breast, okay, is the most advantageous way to actually breastfeed your baby. Then would come expressed breast milk, and only then anything after that. But directly from the breast is phenomenal. Birth mode affects the microbiome, it affects obesity, it affects the allergy risk. Okay, so there is a difference whether we have a cesarean versus a vaginal birth. Birth method, mom's ethnicity also influences the gut bacteria with an allergy risk. Okay. The fungi in baby's gut may influence allergies. So allergy risk is influenced by an infant's gut fungi combined with other early life factors. 81% more accuracy in predicting inhalant allergies using fungal data. Baby's first poop also can predict the number of allergies, okay, or predict a higher risk of allergies, a higher risk of developing allergies if baby's first poop has fewer types of molecules, and there's a stronger immune development when specific molecules are more numerous in baby's first poop. The best way to actually get the good things into the baby's first poop is make sure you put your baby to the breast and give that baby lots of colostrum. Okay, then there's a different way called the shark latch, which is, it's got the same principles to breastfeeding. It's just describing it in a little bit of a different way. And there's 7 steps to shark latch. And this latching technique is Judy Kirkwood. And it is really a fun way to actually look at breastfeeding as well. And she's got a lot of TikTok videos on shark latch. So just look for that and you'll be able to go and have a look at them. So these are the 7 steps to shark latch. Okay, sit back, relax, and let's start the shark latch. A pillow for each arm helps you to feel calm. We said you need to be nice and well supported. Skin on skin, chest on chest helps to give us the best. Baby line, tummy to mummy, that whole baby turned in, skin to skin, chest to chest. Okay, place baby from the center of your chest to the cross cradle position. Skin to skin, chest on chest, tummy to mummy. Number 4 is the 3 C's. Make wide C shapes with both hands. Now place the one around the baby's neck, as you can see in the left hand one, the middle one, okay, and this is going to give you the control, and your other C, okay, is you're going to have a C shape holding your breast. So particularly if you've got large breasts, okay, you can support the weight so that the weight of the breast isn't going to pull the nipple out of the baby's mouth. So a C for the baby's head, okay, you've got good control, okay, and you'll C for your breast and actually make it. Okay, so here the C, remember, nothing above the baby's ears. Nose to nipple, to line both up, swoop baby down, and then lower baby away from the breast. And this allows baby to gaze up to the breast with a wide open mouth. And then the penguin comes in, penguins and sharks bring baby up and over onto the breast, otherwise known as shark latch. After 60 seconds, bring the penguin arm around and tuck baby's bum inwards. And this opens the nose to help baby breathe. Okay, so Judy devised this song and wrote this song and got somebody to actually write some music to it. And so I'm going to actually play it for you, and you can actually follow with the lines of the song.
Sit back, relax, and let's start the shark latch. A pillow for each arm will help you feel calm. Skin on skin, chest on chest. Remember to massage and tickle the breast. Baby line, tummy to mummy, skin on skin, chest on chest. Also will help you give the best. Make a C with your hand, listen up and understand. With the white C around the base of baby's neck and the other C around the breast. All 3 C's are now in check. Nose to nipple, to line both up. Swoop baby down and get ready to come. Bring baby up and over to the breast. Keep baby close and snuggle to the chest. Shark latch, let's do the shark latch. Shark latch, let's do the shark latch. Bring penguin arm round, tuck baby in. This helps baby latch. Win, win, win.
Shark latch, let's do the shark latch. Shark latch, let's do the shark latch. You've got this.
Hopefully you really like that idea and like the music. Do go and check them out, and you can sing while you're actually latching your baby to the breast. Okay, people, I'm going to see if there are any questions. Okay, just put them in the chat box and we can answer any questions that you would like. Now, let's just see. If you haven't got any questions, you can fill out the form. Tammy has put the link into the chat box, and that you can fill out your form to get your certificate of attendance, and you can fill out your form. We really actually do appreciate your feedback. And so if you can fill out your feedback, you will then be eligible to go in for the draws. Judy has put in the at Best Start Baby on TikTok and Best Start Baby on YouTube for the shark latch. Okay, so you can go check them out there, and they will help you remember the best way to do it. Okay. Just going to, I remember there was a question early on. I just need to find what it was. Okay, what's the best way to store pumped breast milk? Okay, Shannon, that was a question you asked earlier. It's very important that you store the breast milk in a sterile container or a sterile breast milk bag, or anything like that needs to be sterilized. Really good idea to actually put it in small quantities, okay, because you don't ever want to waste any breast milk. It's precious, it's liquid gold, and you don't want to think, oh, well, I'm going to thaw this 200 mils of this breast milk, and your baby takes 50 mils and has had enough, and you can't reuse that breast milk then, and so it goes to waste. So rather have small quantities, and then you can actually take out what you need and not have any go to wastage. So it really doesn't matter whether you put it into small cups, small bags. You can buy bags specifically to store the breast milk in. It's convenient, but it's not essential by any manner of means. Okay, so a nice sterile container as that baby gets older doesn't need to be so sterile, as opposed to really just nice and clean, because you don't sterilize your breast before you put it into your baby's mouth. Okay, so just make sure it's really nice and clean, and that is the best bet. It's a good idea to label the breast milk, okay, from the point of view that you need to know what date it is, so that you can actually use the oldest milk first, and also whether it is day milk or night milk, so that that baby gets the melatonin to help it sleep better at night. I hope that answers your question. If you got anything else, Shannon, just put it in the chat box and we can actually have a look at it. Okay, Mariella, you'd love to hear my thoughts on nipple shields. Absolutely. There's always time and place for things, and sometimes nipple shields can be really, really beneficial. As a rule, we would really like not to have nipple shields used. Have a look at your breasts and your nipples, and if you have got flat or inverted nipples, okay, so that the nipple can't stand out, Then during your pregnancy, you can actually work on your nipple area and actually see if you can get the a little bit of those adhesions freed so that your baby can have an easier latch. And that is going to help. You also get little nipple pullers, little suction caps that help free it. And other people are going to have inverted nipples, and no matter what you do, those nipples are never going to stand out. We can again really try well and see if that baby will latch and will be able to manage. But if it doesn't, then nipple shields are a wonderful invention, and they can be an enormous help to this baby latching. But we do not try a nipple shield for every baby. Okay, it's more a last resort than a first resort. Ideally, we want that baby to latch on directly. Okay. Kirsty's asking how to cope with very strong or lots of letdown. Should you try and pre-express so baby can cope and doesn't get overwhelmed? Okay, I wouldn't try and do anything in the beginning and just see how it goes. But if you've got a very strong letdown, some of the babies can't swallow quick enough, and they, it makes them cough and splutter and choke a little bit and unpleasant. And then there's no harm to actually take your baby off for a few seconds, just have a burp cloth or something underneath just to catch that excess milk, and then as it settles down, you can put your baby on it. If you want to pre-express, you can, but generally you can see if they cope and then just take them off for a few seconds. But you don't want them to, have to stay on and feel as though they're choking and getting overwhelmed, no, because it's just as those little muscles contract and the milk comes squirting out, that it comes very, very quickly. It doesn't stay like that for more than, a few seconds. So it's very easy to just take them off till it actually settles down. Okay, there's silver nipple caps. Are they effective? It's actually quite interesting if you read back in medical history about silver and what it did and what they formulated out of silver, and how they found that silver has these amazing bactericidal properties in it. And they started off with using silver suture thread, and that made such a difference that yes, silver repels, keeps the bacteria away. And so if you use these silver nipple caps, they certainly have got a time and place and are effective because of the makeup of what silver actually does medically. Jackie says, I'm a doula and I had an incident recently where the baby latched. However, it will almost spit mom's breast out. And then when we tried to latch, he literally pursed his lips closed. How do you overcome that? Okay, you don't say how old the baby is. If it's that new baby or there ever any issues, the first thing that I would suggest you do is that you put mom into bed nice and comfortable and put that baby skin to skin on the breast and let that baby investigate the breast in its own time, and don't force the breast into the baby's mouth. Have you ever thought of the analogy? You go into a restaurant and you order your food, and when the waiter brings you your plate of food and you put it down in front of you, if he picked up your fork and started to feed you, would you like it? You are not ready to eat, and you don't want to be forced into eating at that particular moment. You want to do it in your own time. And it's very much like that for your baby as well, is that don't force your baby to feed. Your baby's got to be ready for it. Otherwise, they start having negative oral feelings isn't the right word that I'm actually looking for. Negative experiences, okay? And then they're not going to want to go on the breast because it's a negative oral experience. And so that I would take all the pressure out of the situation and actually just put that baby skin to skin on mom's chest and let that baby explore the mom's chest, like should have been done immediately after birth for that baby to explore until it got to stage 8 when it actually latched on. So that baby is trying to tell you something, okay? I mean, obviously we need to make sure the mom hasn't got any strange lotions or perfumes or anything on that is giving a negative taste to it or anything like that, but I'm sure that's not really the issue. But rather try skin to skin, and you're not forcing that breast into that baby's mouth. If that's not enough of an answer, just keep putting something else in the chat box and we can take it all further. Annaline, how do I get the form? You should be able to see it in the chat box. Perhaps Tammy can put it into the chat box again so that it's easy to find. She often does WhatsApp it to you as well. So wherever you got the reminder for the webinar, you might find it there, or otherwise just ask however on the Baby Talk number, and Tammy will answer you, and I'm sure she'll be able to send you the link directly if you can't find it in the chat box. Okay, how do dummies affect breastfeeding, and should it be avoided? Okay, I'll come back to the dummy issue, but let's look at how a baby actually feeds on the breast. Okay, that its tongue lowers down, it cups, and then it actually massages the breast in order to get that milk out. When the baby is tired of sucking or wants a breather, it just holds its mouth there, and the milk will stop flowing till it actually sucks, okay, except when the letdown reflex is around. Okay, so under normal situations, that baby is going to suck, and that baby is going to hold its mouth, and it'll carry on sucking. If you put a bottle in a baby's mouth, okay, it works very, very differently. And if the hole is, you know, quite large, this milk will keep pouring down this baby's throat, and they actually have to put their tongue up to stop the flow so that they can take a breather. And the action, the sucking action on the breast and the sucking action on a bottle or on a teat are vastly different. And there are definitely some babies who can go between the two, and there are other babies that get what is called nipple confusion. Nipple confusion is a thing, okay, without a doubt. And some babies, when they have been exposed to sucking on a teat, sucking on a bottle, they cannot actually go back and suck on the breast. They are now confused, and they put their mouth on the breast, and they kind of shake it around, and they don't know what to do with it. Okay, and so it is very important, particularly in those early days, that the baby only gets the breast in its mouth until breastfeeding is really well established. Okay, and ideally that your baby will just feed off the breast, but actually if they need to have something else or express milk given to them, look at, particularly in those early days, of a different way to do it. So for example, you can actually use a spoon if it's just a small amount you need to give your baby something, or you can actually cup feed. Okay, just because it's a newborn baby doesn't mean to say that they can't actually suck out of a cup. Use a small cup and you put it in the corner of their mouths and you sit them reasonably upright and you tilt it, and that they drink out of the cup. And so there are other ways of doing it if you need to actually feed your baby something during those early weeks before that baby is well established on the breast. So hopefully that has shown you the contrast between breastfeeding and sucking on the breast and sucking from a teat or a bottle, whatever, the two different sucking actions. Your dummy, again, for a lot of the babies, it won't interfere with the breastfeeding, sucking and latching, but with some babies, it is going to affect them. And we never know which way it's going to go. And so it's recommended that from the beginning, you don't introduce a dummy and you let that breastfeeding latch and suckling actually get it well established. And then if you want to use a dummy, that you actually do. But it's very, very important that you use a dummy that is correctly shaped and correct texture. Otherwise, you can do other damage apart from nipple confusion with a dummy. Okay, so it needs to be an orthodontically shaped one and a not too hard, not too soft, so that you don't damage the palate development either. So ideally, if your baby doesn't need a dummy, don't encourage it. But there are definitely babies who actually need what is called non-nutritive sucking, that they needing to suck for the sake of sucking and soothing, as opposed to sucking to actually get nutrition, to get the milk. Okay, and so there is a difference. And if a baby really is an unsettled, niggly, colicky baby, for want of a better description, those babies often need a dummy for the non-nutritive sucking. Okay, so hopefully that has given you a distinction and given you a place to actually start the process. Okay, Nicole says, experts mention it's okay for breastfed babies not to pass stool for 7 to 10 days. Is this okay? And is there a reason for this? Nicole, we actually need to look at how old this baby actually is. Remember the chart that I showed that said, you know, you needed to have 1 to 2 poo nappies, and so it increases. That is for a newborn baby, and it's very important that within 24 hours or so that baby is passing meconium, that first stool a baby passes, that we know that the gut is patent and working, and it is important to actually get the meconium, etc., out and passed, and kind of clearing the system. And by giving your baby colostrum, the colostrum has got a lot of laxative properties in it. And so it will actually get rid of that meconium. And the more that you give your baby, the more that baby will poo. As that baby gets older and its digestion works more efficiently and it retains more, and you're going to then get breastfed babies who might only poo, once in 7 days, and that can be normal. Okay, equally so that babies can have 7 poos or 10 poos in 1 day. So we need to look at the big picture of this baby and not just focus in on one aspect. So yes, this new baby, okay, should not be pooing only every 7 days. Okay, a newborn baby should be pooing much more frequently, as the reasons I've stated. Okay, but yes, as that baby gets older, and obviously when that baby starts solids, you're going to get a different poo pattern as well. So yes, it is okay within the context of the baby as a whole. Okay, Jackie, it was a few hours old. Is that the baby that would hold its mouth and spit the nipple out? I would definitely say put that baby skin to skin and just let that baby explore the breast, and in its own time it will open its mouth. If you look at the non-instinctive stages, that it is the first hour before that baby actually gets to getting to the breast. Okay, and once it's at the breast, it then needs to familiarize itself at the breast. It's never seen a breast before, it doesn't know what a nipple is. Okay, we don't want just something stuffed into our mouths by somebody else, nor do they. They want to familiarize it, they touch it, they lick it, they pinch it, they massage the breast. Okay, just as they familiarize themselves with it. And then when they're ready, they still spend quite a long time at the breast before they actually latch on. Okay, and at that stage, even though it's going through that familiarization process, if you looked at where that tongue was, that tongue could be still at the roof of that baby's mouth. When that baby is ready to actually latch on, the tongue drops to the bottom of the mouth, okay, to the floor, and starts cupping, ready to take that breast in. And so if we are putting that baby and trying to latch that baby, and that baby isn't yet ready, and that tongue hasn't lowered out of the way and ready to cup that breast, we're then fighting a losing battle and making negative oral experiences for that baby. Okay, Angeline, I don't have as much milk anymore. Even when I'm pumping at work, I get about 180 mils a day. I'm drying up, breasts are feeling empty all the time. Okay, we need to look again at the big picture, and we haven't, in September, we'll cover this in more in detail, but I'll try and help you at the moment. So this is really the quick version. Okay, that you need to make sure you are drinking enough fluids, you are eating healthily, you are sleeping adequately, and you are not being stressed by the fact that you actually at work and you're trying to express and all the rest of it. You don't say how old your baby is, okay, and that would be helpful to know, okay. And the most effective way of getting your breasts empty, and that's what you're wanting, because the more you empty your breast, the more milk that is. Okay, your baby's 6 months old. Okay, perfect. Okay, All right. So you've got to be looking after yourself as well. And if you have a look at, I don't know what you're doing, but my regime would be that when you wake up or your baby wakes up or before you go to work, you actually put your baby to the breast and let them suck from the breast, because that's the most efficient way of getting the milk out of your breast is your baby. Your baby is much more effective at emptying the breast than a breast pump is. Okay. And then you need to make sure that you are expressing as many times as your baby would normally be feeding. So, every 3 hours or so, you should be actually expressing, because the more that you stimulate the breast, the more that your breasts are going to make milk. Okay, so if you don't do it often enough and empty enough, your breasts aren't going to actually replenish and make more milk. And then when you get home from work, you put your baby straight to the breast. Okay, so that again, it's an effective way of actually emptying the breast. And then when your baby wants any more milk before it goes to sleep during the night, that you put your baby directly to the breast as well. At the weekends, okay, try and breastfeed all the time. Again, it's going to build up your milk supply at the weekends, particularly. So I hope that has given you some indication. If you've got any more, put it in the chat box and I will try and answer some more for you if that's not enough. Danielle saying, how can we advocate for moms when the hospitals insist on formula if they aren't feeding in that first hour? Oh my goodness, sometimes I look back and I think, how much impact as a professional have I had? Because the issues the girls are having today in hospitals are the issues they were having 35 years ago, when I first started doing childbirth education. And it's so hard, and I try so hard personally to actually get staff within the hospitals and privately and in private practice to actually understand about breastfeeding and understand about skin to skin. And gee whiz, they've been doing it for the last umpteen years and they don't think they need to be educated and updated. That I think if you go to the Expectant Mother's Guide website and you look under skin to skin and resources and posters, you will see there are really good posters that and pamphlets that you can actually download, print off, etc. And I would say that you make sure you take information like that, the posters, the pamphlets, to the professionals during your pregnancy and saying, actually, this is what I want to do. If you haven't heard my skin to skin talk, we can check with Tammy to see whether it is up on the Expectant Mother's Guide Journey app, and you listen to that, because that explains in detail what actually happens during skin to skin immediately after birth. And that is where things are going wrong. If that baby is put skin to skin, that baby's temperature is stabilized, its oxygen stabilized, its breathing stabilized, its heart rate stabilized, and its glucose level is stabilized by these factors that actually occur. And so it won't have a low blood glucose level if it is skin to skin on mom's chest. Okay, they need to understand the physiology of what is going on during skin to skin. And that is why I don't like just giving out facts to people. Have the understanding of what it does and why it does it, so that one can understand why you're doing something. And this is what the professionals, whether it's your gynae, the pediatrician, the staff in the labor ward, the staff in the postnatal ward, the staff in the nursery, the NICU, There are many of them that are not educated on the importance of skin to skin or what it does physiologically, and that the baby will actually latch on and then suckle. And as long as it's been skin to skin, as I say, it's going to stabilize its glucose level. And so it won't need topping up with formula. And so that is where to start, that you take these posters and pamphlets to your gynaes, to the hospitals when you do your hospital tour. When you go in labor, you say, this is what I'm wanting. And it's your pregnancy, your birth, your baby, your breasts, and you're entitled to actually ask for something that the scientific research is there of what skin to skin actually does. I hope that's helped. Okay, when do you start cleaning the tongue after feeding, or is this only applicable with formula? Yeah, you know, really, if you are breastfeeding your baby, you don't have to worry about cleaning this baby's tongue or mouth or anything like that, because the properties and the antibacterial properties that are within the breast milk, you shouldn't need to clean the tongue. When you're talking about cleaning the tongue and that, it's generally referring, oh my goodness, it looks like it's milk on the tongue, and meanwhile it's a thrush infection. And yeah, breastfeed your baby, and you know, don't have anything that's going into a sterilizing solution that can actually take away the good bacteria that are in baby's mouth. Okay, Jackie, I see that you put an update in that it was a complicated situation. The mom was unable to communicate due to a language barrier. Sure, a language barrier is really, really, really difficult. Perhaps have some of these posters, pamphlets with you, because there are a lot of pictures, and it's, you know, pictures are more friendly when a language is a barrier. That's my only suggestion. Okay, when is it advisable to breastfeed after a Caesar? Is it immediately or after you wake up in the recovery room? Non siquelelo, the majority of Caesars, okay, somebody's raised their hand. I don't know, let's see. Pam, are you trying to give me a message? Am I running late? Okay, hang on, let's see what Tammy's got to say. I'll come back to the questions. All right. Okay, let's see. What Tammy is saying to me is that I should go on to the giveaways. People are signing out. Apologies, I didn't realize the time. Let's go on to the giveaways, people. I will come back to your questions. I will answer them all. So if you don't have to leave, don't leave. But let's actually apologize for not having done the giveaways. So let's see. Okay. All right. It looks like the winners have already been put on my phone. Sorry about that, Tam. Reminder, the breastfeeding issues webinar Tuesday, the 5th of September. The giveaways, there is a free consult on birthing options and informed choices. And the first consultation goes to Shanna Jardim, or Jardim, however you may say it. I apologize if I don't get it correct. Shanna, what we need from you is an email address. You can put it in the chat box, or you can send it to lynn@babytalk.co or to any of the numbers that you have received the webinar information on, and let us have that and we will sort it out. Then we've got a 100 Rand Takeoff gift voucher. The first one goes to Juanita Tuck. Juanita, again, we just need an email address and we email your voucher to you. Another consult goes to Mariella Sawyer. I think it is Mariella Sawyer. Also just an email address, 100 Rand gift voucher to Tando and Chinga. Just need an email address. The last consult goes to Martinique Fenter. Martinique, just give us your email address. And the last 100 Rand gift voucher goes to Lindy Potgieter. So, Lindy, that is great. Thank you to those who actually sent in your feedback forms. We really do appreciate it. If you haven't, you can always do it afterwards and send it through to us. We would appreciate all the feedback. So we say thank you for that. Have a stunning evening, and I will stop sharing and I will do my best to go and find where I was with the questions. Okay, people. Okay, I think I found my place. Annika, at how many weeks would you recommend introducing a bottle if the idea is to have baby on a bottle during the day and on the breast in the morning and evening once maternity leave is over, which is roughly 4 months? Please advise what to look out for when choosing a bottle. I would try and keep your little one on the breast as long as possible. Whenever you do, you're likely to give your baby and introduce a bottle to your baby. It's likely to be a traumatic experience, and it's advisable that mom doesn't give the bottle because they can smell the milk on you and they will want to breastfeed. And so you need to let the person or somebody else or the person who's going to be looking after your baby actually introduce the bottle. You don't need to do it very much beforehand. The reason is that babies aren't going to starve themselves, okay? And at the very worst, if they don't take something during the day at 4 months, when you get home, they will feed the whole evening and all night, and that's not going to be disastrous for them. So don't be anxious about the fact. Give them the breast as long as possible. Okay. When you're choosing a bottle, you need a teat on that actually is orthodontically shaped. You need to make sure that it's actually designed for the age of the baby. Okay, so if your baby's 4 months, then look for one that is not just a newborn teat. And what is a very good idea, and I will certainly be doing it in September, is you need to look at paced bottle feeding, and so that the baby works as hard on the breast, as hard when it's trying to suck from the bottle as it does from the breast. So, and that you don't overfeed them, because they usually actually suck harder to get the breast milk out. And if the teat is very small and free flowing, they would tend to, if you gave them double the quantity, they drink it. Okay, and that's not advisable either. So have a look at paced bottle feeding as well, as looking for a teat that they need to work hard from. Nancy Clelo, you can unmute. I see your hand is raised.
Hi, evening, Glenn. Thank you for saying I could unmute. Would you just kindly revert back to my question, because you were on that point just prior you took the prizes, and I've just been waiting to hear you out. Thank you.
I apologize. I get thrown and then my mind disappears.
Understandable.
Let me.
It was the C-section one. As to when would it be advisable to breastfeed after a C-section? Thank you.
Wonderful. I found it as well. Yes. Okay. So what I was going to say, and thank you for staying and re-asking it. I didn't remember I hadn't finished anything, is that the majority of Caesars are done under an epidural or a spinal anesthetic. So you're not under a general anesthetic. So you are awake. The fact is that from your waist downwards, you can't feel, okay? But you are not sedated. And so ideally, you would like, again, if everything is fine, your baby to be given to you immediately to have your baby skin to skin, okay? And obviously they're working, and so they often put your baby skin to skin up here, okay, from the point of view that they can't put it lower down vertically because they are operating. But you don't ideally want to wait till you go to the recovery room, that while they're still stitching you up, you want your baby skin to skin. If somebody, you will need a little bit of assistance to make sure that your baby is able to get to the breast and is well supported and held on, because these operating tables, you know, haven't got a lot of room, and you are, you know, being operated on, so you can't be too mobile. But just make sure that there is somebody, or your partner hopefully will be with you, and he can make sure he's got a hold on to the foot or something like that, so your baby stays in a safe position. So the earlier, the better for that baby to be skin to skin on you. And you don't necessarily, it's a lot harder to watch this baby go through the 9 instinctive stages when your baby is up here and they can't have access to the normal position. So but skin to skin is a phenomenally important place to start. So at least have your baby skin to skin, and even when you're in the recovery, you can then say, actually, can I now put my baby vertically skin to skin on me? Does that answer your question now? If you need anything, just put your hand up or unmute and Sikalelo, it's fine. Okay, Tanda's asking, how do we identify when breastfeeding is well established for the baby? Is there a timeline or signs that can be used as a guide? It would generally be after a few weeks. Some people will say as long as 4 weeks, but your baby is when it's well established on the breast, it's easy to latch your baby. They suckle well. You're not battling to get them to open their mouth to latch on to suckle. They're really doing it nicely. So just watch how easy it is for your baby to suck and be on the breast to use as a guide. There isn't anything definitive that you can say, well, it's so many weeks and then you're safe. Okay, some babies will actually get nipple confusion even after that time, and some even after a few months, they still might get nipple confusion, or they actually prefer sucking from the bottle rather than from the breast. So one needs to be careful with all those things. Miriam says, I strongly believe nurses and dietitians working in pediatric wards should have the breastfeeding skill and the passion and love what they do to avoid diluted messages and information and not compromise telling moms the realities of not breastfeeding, coupled with water and electricity shedding in South Africa and Africa as a whole. Support, encourage, empower without getting tired. Well said, Miriam. It really is exactly what it is. And the sad thing is not everybody has breastfed, not everybody has had the support of being supported while breastfeeding and successfully breastfed, and hence everything negative is passed on to everybody they're working for. And that we as healthcare professionals, we can just do our best to actually keep telling as many people as we can, healthcare professionals, mums, grandmothers, anybody, just how important breastfeeding is and how best to actually do it. So all the healthcare professionals that have been listening in tonight, I hope you're inspired to be passionate about passing on the message to praying moms as well. Nicole, I've obviously answered part of your question and said I didn't know how old your baby was. Now I can't remember what your question was. If you're still there, if you can just add it in the chat room or put your hand up and I'll unmute you. Angeline, I don't have as much milk anymore, even when I'm pumping. Okay, 6 months old. Yes, we did get that one. Okay. Nancy Kalelo is, if it's fun, otherwise just put your hand up and I will find you again and unmute you if you've got anything else to answer. Otherwise, I will assume you're fine. People, that looks as though I have answered all the questions. Okay, if I haven't, please, 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 won't you just put them in the chat box? Otherwise, we'll say goodnight to everybody. And I really wish you a fantastically successful breastfeeding journey. And remember, just trust your body, relax. And if there is a minor problem with breastfeeding, call in somebody to help you, a lactation consultant. Go and find the list on the Expectant Mother's Guide website and make sure that you actually have somebody close at hand that you can actually call so that you don't run into really desperation when you're breastfeeding. We don't want that. We want everybody to actually breastfeed successfully because it is just so worthwhile. Okay, people, on that note, have a good evening, sleep well, stay warm. We're freezing in Joburg. I don't know about anywhere else around the country. I guess everywhere, so everybody stay warm and safe. Good night.